This is the Business of Esports podcast.
The fastest growing entertainment phenomenon of this generation.
Hi, Prophet of Esports, joined today by my friend and co-host William Collis.
Yeah, we got the book of esports out. It's a big deal.
So everyone knows me as the Prophet, and William as the Professor.
As the Prophet of Esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports after show live stream. I am Paul Dawalibi. I'm joined today by my friends and co-hosts, Jeff the Juice Cohen, Jimmy Barada, Lindsay the Boss Poss. Sorry, Jimmy, I'm not used to saying thick boy still. For those of you who are new to the live stream, welcome to the official after show of esports. What we do here is we cover everything that didn't make it into the podcast. It's still all the news and esports topics of the week. We still dissect, we still analyze the business implications of everything happening in the industry. But the best part is we get to do it live with you guys. You get to participate, you get to get in our faces, ask questions, and most importantly, challenge us. And we encourage everyone to do so. If you want to sit and lurk, we're happy that you're here. Welcome. If you haven't brought a friend or a colleague to the live stream, please do so. But we really appreciate everyone being here, whether you're participating or not. How is everyone doing this week, guys?
Good.
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
That was like silence and then chaos.
That's usually how it goes. I want everyone to see my shirt this evening.
Whoa.
I wish William was here. I was so ready to talk some trash.
Lindsay, you have never looked better. I don't know what it is, but it's
the glow. Everyone can order this glow.
There you go. If you want to be the most fashionable person in your town, city, wherever,
Zoom call.
On Zoom, that's it. This is the shirt you need to be wearing. You need my face on your shirt. So everyone go check out businessofesports.shop because this is where you can get them. Lindsay, we need more people wearing my face on their shirt. So I think we will need you to put this on your Instagram. I think that's the place that this belongs.
I can make that happen.
There you go. All right, guys, let's jump into it. We've got a lot to cover today. Lots of news. I will just tease, as always, the podcast that drops tomorrow. We had Jimmy Mondel, who you guys know from the live stream, the official announcement of him joining Holodeck Media, even though anyone who came to the live stream knows this, but that announcement came out yesterday. And so we did an episode with him talking about his background. He's got an incredible background. A lot of people I maybe don't even know. He was on Cheddar. He co-hosted Cheddar Esports. He had a show on Quibi called Speedrun that was with Polygon. And so very accomplished, used to do a bunch of commentating. He was like the head host at the Microsoft store here in New York City. So he has a tremendous background in gaming and esports. And you guys will get to hear that story tomorrow. I highly encourage you guys to listen in. He's got great insight also into like how to make it on that side of the business, the content talent side of the business, which I think we don't always talk about, at least on the podcast. So a lot of fun. The only other thing I will add is that we also covered a couple of topics, which, as always, I'm happy to rehash here with you guys. And that is this one, which was about actually, this one was about Google Stadia switching to a pay for engagement plan. So in other words, developers of games on Stadia only get paid if people log into those games, and only daily check-ins count as engagement. So sort of a change to their business model, or at least the way they pay developers. The other story,
what were they previously going to pay people? Just if nobody played the games, they just would get paid?
I assume so. I assume they were paid some kind of fee to join the program, right? It does mention that a lot of, or at least there are other services that do a combination of upfront fees and pay for engagement. And I think what seemed novel about this announcement is Google seems to be taking away the upfront fees. It's only pay for engagement. And the way they measure engagement is not in terms of hours played, which is the most typical, but it's based on daily check-ins. So if you check in June 1st and August 1st, Google says you've played 2 months, which you know, we had an interesting conversation around what the implications of that would be. And then we also covered Tencent acquiring Sumo for $1.27 billion, or at least the bid being $1.27 billion, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any other bids at this scale. And you know, I think the interesting takeaway here was it's a lot of money. It's another very large amount being paid for a game developer. There's William.
Hi guys. Sorry I'm a bit late. Good to see everyone. Hi Lindsay. Hi Jeff. Hi Jimmy.
Lindsay.
Hi Paul.
Yeah, William.
Mhm.
I have made my decision here. I'm sorry to inform you.
Ooh.
I thought you were talking about your nickname. I thought you were locking the nickname in as the boss.
No, it's way better. I'm picking my side.
All right. Well, we'll see which one sells out first. You know.
No, I Lindsay, I don't know if you were going to chime in with the Tencent or if you just wanted to.
What games does Sumo make? I'm not even familiar with like any games they make.
They make Hotshot Racing, and they make the Little Big Planet, like Sackboy adventure stuff.
And $1 billion doesn't get you what it used to. It's crazy.
Well, they have 1,000 developers.
And they only make 2 games.
1,000 developers doesn't get you what he used to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of developers, though.
I mean,
Yeah. Quantity doesn't make quality, remember? Like Ubisoft has like 20,000 developers, and you know, I don't know. They don't churn. They don't always have the best games.
Lindsay,
Or they're all the same, basically.
True. Lindsay,
No,
what were you gonna say?
I just felt like Sackboy was pretty popular. I don't know.
It was.
Yeah, it did pretty well. I'm not sure if it did $1 billion well,
Was
but
it
I don't.
not a PlayStation exclusive?
It
Was it?
It might have been.
I feel like it was like a PS4 launch game.
Pretty sure it was a launch title exclusive. Yeah,
I think so, if I remember correctly.
So that must have been like literally 8 years ago. So what have they been doing? What have they been doing since?
That's also true.
Yeah,
just
you make a
working
lot of
it.
good points.
I mean, the article does mention, and we mentioned this in the podcast, so tune in tomorrow. But we mentioned that one of the analysts who was looking at this transaction actually said there's not a lot of IP there. So
Yeah. Now, just to be fair, we're kind of being flippant here, but obviously we've all talked about this before. I mean, Tencent is pretty much the smartest guys in the room. So if they're spending $1 billion, there's probably a good reason why they're doing it. That we're kind of just joking around here or whatever. But yeah, they obviously know what they're doing.
Tune into the podcast. I think we have an interesting theory on that, of what they might be going for, and it's a little like Evil Empire-ish, maybe. But who knows? We'll only time will tell. I mean, the transaction technically hasn't closed, right? It's a public company. This is just a bid. But given the premium that Tencent's paying, highly unlikely that this deal won't close. Can we start, guys, with a huge story this week, though, that we didn't get to on the podcast, but really big story. Netflix getting into gaming in an even more obvious way. You know, I can't. It's probably like the third Netflix story getting into gaming we've done. Right?
I can't believe we didn't cover this on the podcast because I think this is like there's some information that's out now that seems like it's like this is like the biggest story of the week, if not the quarter or maybe the year. This is huge. Some of the stuff.
And I'll just mention the two separate stories that came out. So one, I think, a lot more important than the other. So this was the big one. This is Netflix hires Facebook gaming executive Mike Verdu as part of a deeper push into entertainment. He worked at EA. He worked at Kabam before he was at Facebook. And Netflix, it says here, has been pushing into video games. So they announced a Stranger Things game. They announced like choose your own adventure content. It's still like not totally clear what their ambitions are in the gaming space, but this hire, I think, makes it clear that they want to do something and they're serious about building a team and doing something there. The only announced game that they have is the Stranger Things game, I believe. And they also said they're creating Dark Crystal Age of Resistance as an adaptation of the Netflix movie Dark Crystal. I don't know if anyone has seen that. No? Yes?
It's on my watch list. I haven't watched it yet.
So no big announcements from a games perspective. The other story, which got a lot less play, well, I don't know where it is now. Hang on.
These are all good stories, though.
What was that? You don't know where it is? From all these you're having trouble.
It was right here. Which came out. This has been like a couple weeks now, but I wanted to tie these two together because we didn't actually talk about this one because it's less important, I think, than the other hire. Was Netflix basically announced a new deal with Shonda Rhimes. She's the producer who did Bridgerton, which was very popular on Netflix, and basically what they're saying is this is a deal that's going to be focused on VR content, like VR and gaming content, which the way they describe it is it's going to include the opportunity to exclusively produce and distribute gaming and VR content without any explanation beyond that. So two developments here. One, I think very obvious, right? Facebook gaming pedigree, Kabam, EA. But what do you guys make of these two sort of, I'll call them hires, even though one was a partnership. Is Netflix finally serious here? And what are we going to see out of all this?
In the initial announcement, I believe that they said that they were going to look more into mobile gaming, which I also thought was interesting. And I think that actually might be a good play just because it's something that can be simultaneously done while you're watching content. Like it's an easy kind of addition. And I say that as someone who regularly watches content while playing games on their phone, especially if it's related to what you're actually watching, like it could be with Stranger Things. I think that could be cool. I'm a little bit less excited about the AR stuff, just because I don't see an immediate tie-in. Like
the VR stuff, you mean? The Shonda
VR
Rhimes?
rather. Yeah, and I love Shonda Rhimes. But I don't see like an immediate, like then people have to get like all new equipment and all this stuff. So I don't know. I think that the mobile makes a lot more sense initially, but I think that the VR is definitely a longer term play. And it's good to, I mean, you have to start somewhere. So I suppose they're just getting started.
There's two paths here, right? That seem like they're going down. One is gaming content, right? And the other one is actually producing games, or at least publishing games, right? They may not be developing them, but they're at least publishing them to their platform. I was going to bring up the third story more as a tap myself on the back story. But that, since you guys mentioned it, Netflix diving into video games with ad-free mobile gaming. And this is the key part, at no extra cost, which I'm pretty sure I said at the live stream was exactly how they were going to do it. And in fact, Reed Hastings doubled down and said, we're a one product company. In other words, it's one subscription, you pay one price. And I'm pretty sure I called this 100% right. that this was a way they were going to offer more value for their subscription and be able to justify price increases and good things like that. But again, do we think Netflix is going to succeed here on all fronts? Is it content? Is it games? Is it just publishing other people's games? Where's the value for Netflix in your minds, guys?
I'll sort of play. I mean, I've been fairly bearish on this, so I'll play the devil's advocate kind of bear here. I think everything that you did call this, Paul, that they would keep it within the subscription and not upcharge for it, which, you know, from a business school perspective is probably the savvy way to do it. But everything that I feel like we've learned in those 3 stories makes me incredibly bearish about this entire project. You know, you have hire Shonda Rhimes, who knows nothing about games, even though she's an incredible producer, executive, and makes great content, but knows nothing about games. You're doing
is
mobile,
a long way off from Halo. Let's be honest.
You're doing mobile and virtual reality. Like virtual reality, no one can get this right. Netflix is going to all of a sudden get virtual reality right, and mobile, like, man, there's so much mobile out there. Like, is it really? You know, the people who are watching, like Lindsay made a good point with maybe it's sort of side content while you're watching it. So I hadn't thought of that, but just in general, I'm not that excited about mobile. The fact that they are bundling it in with the subscription, even though Paul, you said that was the way to do it, to me, that means they're probably not going to be investing a ton in this because there's no immediate revenue coming back from it. So I doubt they're going to be investing, you know, call it billions of dollars that you probably would actually need to invest to really make some headway here. And then the last point is the fact that they hired Mike Verdu means to me that they're probably not going to go out and make a splash acquisition, because if you were going to say go out and buy Activision or buy EA, which is something that if they did that, I'd be like, holy shit, Netflix is really in on gaming. Like they are going to actually become a massive publisher. You wouldn't hire Mike Verdu and then be like, hey, we just bought Activision, like, see you later, Bobby. Like, Mike Verdu is your boss now. It just, you know, that's not what you would do from a corporate strategy perspective. So that means to me that they're taking this incremental approach and they're not going to make a big wave here. So I would say all of this information kind of makes me bearish, or at least think that this is going to be small. This isn't going to revolutionize anything.
So you think they're not bold enough? Is that your issue here?
Yeah.
They didn't make a big enough move? Like, you think they should have tried to buy an Activision?
If they wanted to actually do this right, yeah.
Interesting. Ramsey agrees with you, says, agree with Jeff. This doesn't make sense.
I don't know, guys. I think you're all misreading this pretty drastically. Like, I think this is, like, way more appealing than this. It's like a lot of people watch Netflix. Tons of people. It basically defines the under 30 demographic, right? So you have massive entrenched user base. A lot of people watch Netflix on their phones. I'm just going to tell you, they have the Netflix app installed. They Netflix everywhere, on the train to work, in bed at night when they can't be bothered to go downstairs to watch their TV. Now you can have a mobile gaming play pushed through that Netflix app to gotta be hundreds of millions of users on the phone who are already in a mobile gaming demographic and are going to be getting that for free without ads and connected to properties they're already consuming content about anyway, that they're already interested in because they're watching the TV show or what have you. Look, is this the launch of Half-Life 3? No, let's be honest. It's not, right? But is this a very smart incremental step to move Netflix into gaming that I think represents a surprising amount of humility on their part? Like, I think they're trying to do this in the most connected, integrated way they can with their current user base as the next incremental step. Like, no, they're not opening a massive studio with 10,000 developers and setting out to make a game-changing MMO, right? But also remember their original content pipeline. It didn't start with a new Netflix thing every week. It started with like 1 or 2 shows, and people were like, this is crazy. Why? And now it's their, you know, Netflix has shown that they will test and invest. And I think you're seeing a path to test and investment for games, and you're seeing them make big hires, and you're seeing them commit to do it within the existing subscription model, which are great ways to get
William,
started.
If it's mobile games are already free. So you basically shrunk your TAM. You know, everyone has an app store in their pocket. Not everyone has Netflix on their phone because they're not all Netflix subscribers. So if they're going to do this, why even tie it to the subscription if it's just
I'm
free to play
reading-
mobile games?
I'm reading super into this, but I think don't underestimate the power of you've watched a TV show on Netflix for Netflix to push you a mobile game. Don't underestimate that. And to Lindsay's point, shoulder content for what you're already producing, right? Like, don't be surprised if you're into Stranger Things. Like, I gotta be honest, I got super into Game of Thrones on HBO, right? Like I would have consumed a bunch of stupid stuff around Game of Thrones.
There's
just
like
'cause I was
50
into
Game of Thrones mobile apps. Did you download any of them?
Well, no, but
So there you go.
but HBO didn't have a direct funnel to get me right after I'd watched the season finale to
Yeah.
discover hints for the next season. You know, like if you complete 3 levels, like
Maybe.
unlock a bonus scene. I'm telling you, like, I don't know if they're going to do all this stuff, but I think that I like this path a lot more for Netflix than, you know, we're launching with Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, and, you know, like, I don't know, what's another great game? Halo, you know, free to play on our platform. I like that a lot less. This feels like it could be additive and uniquely leverage the user base.
Can I just ask, why not buy Activision Blizzard or EA or like,
So,
why not make a
First
huge
of all, like, serious question, can they? Like,
Yeah.
are they market caps
I mean,
enough? to build
I think they're
Netflix?
significantly
Netflix
bigger.
has a $235 billion market cap,
Sure. Okay.
so
So,
it's like
they could.
3-4 times the size of an Activision Blizzard or an EA.
okay. So they can't. Okay, fine. So they could go. But why would Netflix? So your thesis there would be, we've gone into the studio production business. Now we're going to go into the games production business, and we're just going to buy the biggest game developer out there.
The thesis is, I would argue, simpler, right? Netflix saw video rental and what was happening there, right? And they moved into sort of the most disruptive, what they beat who they thought was their most important and direct competitor. And they've like the CEO, like Reed Hastings, has said Fortnite's our competitor, right? He had said that previously. It's quoted directly. If he believes that, why not try and shift more of the business's focus to gaming and make a really big play? I'm just, you know,
But, like,
hypothetical discussion here.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, push back here, right? Like, what does that actually look like? If you were laying out a strategic roadmap for, okay, we're going to destroy the gaming landscape, right? Like, we're going to, first of all, you don't have to worry about the wave of minor acquisitions, which are not minor, they're billion-dollar acquisitions, but these small, but you're going, because you're going to buy a big fish anyway, right? So what do you care if you pay 20, 30, 40 billion for them, right? Like, you're going to buy the big fish, you know, wait. So that's first thing, right? Second of all, you don't know anything about how your users interact with games or gaming, right? And you're talking about, even for a $250 billion market cap company, a $30 billion acquisition is really expensive. It takes a lot of corporate resources and focus, and you're going to shove that into what is arguably an incredibly successful model, particularly at a time when your core business is threatened by Disney Plus, Peacock, right? Like all the additive, Hulu, all the additive offerings that are really pushing against you.
But you could argue, wouldn't you argue that doing that big, I mean, you're absolutely right about that is massive resources, that is massive buy-in that you would need, that there's not, clearly that's reality. But you could argue that where is Disney weakest? We've said this a million times in this podcast. The strategy that Netflix is taking to gaming right now sounds eerily like the one Disney is taking. Oh, we're going to license our IP. We're going to make sort of shitty mobile games, you know, for these IPs we're putting out. We're going to hire people but not build out teams. We're going to like invest here but then pull back, and then, you know, it's sort of incrementalism. Like, it's not a bold move. You know, I think Paul's point of, hey, let's buy Activision, let's buy EA, do something massively, you know, wild, a big step. That's how you defeat a competitor like a Disney Plus, by saying, oh, you want to cancel your Netflix? Well, guess what? You're not going to be able to play Call of Duty now.
Yeah, but
no one's canceling Netflix.
But my point is, you can buy Activision Blizzard next year. Like,
Fair,
who are your biggest competitors? I don't think
agree.
Disney is buying Activision Blizzard, right? Like,
People have made that argument actually many times.
Yeah, well, that actually might make some sense. But anyway, like, the point I'm making is, I think the large scale acquisitions that you're talking about are large scale and don't go away. They're like, that acquisition opportunity is not at risk for getting eaten in the market. I think you would test first. I think you would try to do something incremental, get some data, see if your users convert, see how they convert, understand what types of games are resonating. And I think this is a safe incremental play. And I think the incrementality is the thing that you don't like about it. It's the thing that makes me feel like, this actually could work, because when we've seen crazy large scale plays, right? Like, Mixer or Stadia or what have you, there's been more difficulties there, right? And I think a lot of that is, the strategy was, this is a great space. We have to be in it. Let's go in, guns blazing. And I think Netflix is showing some, and maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but I think they're a well-run company. I think this is some discipline here to feel out of space and understand the borders. Because the other thing is, why an Activision Blizzard, right? Why not consolidate, tons of these mobile developers, right? Maybe mobile is the better way for you to deliver this side content, or this. So I think they need to learn more. And I think this is a way to get them to learn. And the other thing I would say is, don't underestimate the intelligence of these guys to see what works on their own platform. I see more and more video game related shows getting top billing on Netflix and popping up on Netflix queues, right? If the content is there around the games, they have to be paying attention to the space, and Netflix clearly leans into the content. So I don't think the things we're talking about can't not have crossed their minds, right? Like, I don't think this thought of like, hey, Witcher's popular, maybe we should buy CD Projekt Red. Like, I bet you that is a conversation that somebody has had internally at Netflix, right? The fact that they're not doing that, to me, speaks to, like, there's a strategy there. And I think the strategy is test, and invest. And I think they're in a test and invest phase. And then you're going to be surprised at the adoption this mobile thing gets. I think you're going to be surprised at how effective it is to push you immediately from a show into something else. And I think that's all going to feed into Netflix having some good early traction here, some good metrics, and then something bigger 2 or 3 years from now, when there still be things to buy.
It could be just a more slower, measured approach. Ramsey says probably just going to add in the interactive video content like Bandersnatch. I think that's very possible. Robert says, I'm thinking this may be a gateway play in the vein of Steam streaming to create a foundation for user-generated content. Interesting. So you'll be able to go get, your Minecraft videos on Netflix as opposed to on YouTube. Maybe. I just think, and William, the only pushback I would have, and we'll move on here, is you said this on the podcast, actually, so people can tune in tomorrow and hear you say it. These developers, these game publishers are only getting more and more expensive, right? Like being early seems to be the way to go. If Netflix waits 2 years, chances are they're going to pay a much higher price.
Do you believe that though? I think the premium is being driven in the market. But anyway, let's move on. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I would watch this very closely.
Let's talk about who else is getting into gaming, not just Netflix. This one's maybe a little bit less serious. Zoom getting into gaming, believe it or not. And I love the headline here, whether you like it or not. And so Zoom, everyone's favorite sort of remote work tool, is essentially launching something called, or at least they had launched something called Zoom Apps. And now they're adding essentially games to those Zoom apps. So games like Heads Up and Kahoot and Team Games, which has like mini golf, 8-ball games, Werewolf with Friends, LG
Werewolf
poker.
with Friends. What is that? That sounds cool.
It says it's based on the card game Werewolf, which I've never played Werewolf, so I'm not sure. Why, guys? Please explain to me why Zoom is introducing games. Is this gaming crossover gone too far?
My question is, why now?
Well,
are you saying they're a little late? This should have been sooner.
This would have been perfect like 18 months ago. And we had this conversation multiple times in the podcast where I feel like we all agreed that it would have made a ton of sense for Zoom to have had games during the pandemic, like the height of the pandemic, when people were literally like having Zoom happy hours and Zoom weddings and shit. So when we even joked at that point where it was like, yeah, they probably have other things they're trying to do, like keep, the site afloat when, they're trying to add servers and billions of people cramming on. But yeah, no, sorry, I want to hear Jimmy's take. I feel like Jimmy's been quiet. I apologize.
Well, I don't think Zoom's going anywhere. First of all, like, yeah, it would have been better 18 months ago because they would have captured more of that upswing trajectory. But so many companies, right, are incorporating Zoom. They either went fully remote, they got rid of some of their office space, or they're just incorporating Zoom in a greater capacity because they realize they're just as efficient. But I see this as new age Minesweeper, honestly, right? Like, what office didn't have Minesweeper preloaded or Solitaire right on those old like Windows 95s? And so this isn't for us or like the hardcore gaming community. This is for Sharon in accounting that wants to dick around a little bit, during this board meeting. That's how I see this. So I mean, props to them for getting here. Better late than never. Some of these actually seem interesting, and I take plenty of Zoom meetings. And my course at UCI is taught through Zoom. So like, I don't know, maybe that's a fun thing to do with students. But yeah, I see this as a Minesweeper play, honestly, to capture that passive audience that's just kind of hanging out.
I just want to read one of the comments that someone left in reacting to this story. And someone wrote, "Team building games on Zoom, #KillMeNow." Am I crazy to say I'm more bullish on this than I am about the Netflix getting into gaming? That's crazy. I'm not even kidding. Like, this makes a lot more sense to me than what Netflix is doing. Well, who's going to play games on Zoom? What do you mean, who's going to play games? Jimmy just brought up.
Well, if you're sitting in a Zoom lobby and there's a game option.
I'm Sharon from accounting.
I'm telling you, this will do better than Netflix will do.
I think that they're completely different applications, and I don't think that comparing them gets us anywhere. But I will say that I think that as someone who works at like a small organization and has had a lot of new people come on during the pandemic and foresees a lot of remote work, those icebreaker activities, everyone makes fun of them and they are dumb, but we've hosted them in my company and we've just used third-party services. So it's something.
Well, it's not one or the other, right? There's an audience for this. There's an audience for the Netflix thing. Like, I don't know if you guys ever played those interactive shows where you can just choose the fate, you can choose to go this route or that route, right? Like, I had a friend that developed a very successful studio. He left working for Microsoft on Halo, developed one of those studios, those interactive storytelling studios for the iPad, right? Like, oh, she's crying, you can wipe away the tears, or like spit in her face or whatever. Just like two very polar opposite things to develop the story. I just think it's same with this. It's just there's an audience for it. There's people that are going to play it. If you put it there, you build it, they will come kind of approach.
Can we talk about two other crossovers, guys, with gaming, like sort of lightning round style? And I'm curious to get your take on this. I mean, the first one is Peloton. This one was launching an in-app video game where you pedal to control a rolling wheel. Who thinks this is a good crossover of gaming or implementation of gaming?
I'm super bullish on this. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm more bullish on this than I was on Zoom and Netflix.
Non-stop bangers.
I mean, I don't know about this specific game, but the gamification of fitness is just a massive trend. I mean, we don't have to go too deep into that, but I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, so, but it's a rolling wheel. How
that's what I say. I don't know about this particular game, but like it is the gamification of fitness is massive. So if Peloton can tap into that, it really helps them.
Well, so my question really is, Lindsay, you're muted and you spoke first. Go for it.
I just was wondering if you all remembered when we saw that bike that was like specifically developed to be a gaming and fitness bike. The reason why I'm not excited about this is because every fitness company that's developed a game hasn't done it that well. That's not to say that I'm not super excited about gaming and fitness, but I just like a rolling ball that you keep on balance is like not the thing that I feel like is just really like yes, like we've done it. We've gotten something really fun that you can also like get fit to. So
I mean, it probably means that other device is dead in the water, which I think we said was going to happen, right? Like if Peloton decides to build this in, but like you're talking about, again, it's almost like a 40 billion market cap company, Peloton, and this is all they could come up with in terms of a game is a rolling wheel.
They should have bought the Sackboy people.
I mean, look at this.
What about Temple?
Game.
What about Temple Runner, right? Like some simple games end up doing really well, especially if you're just kind of stuck there. I don't know which one of these exercise machines don't have like smart TVs built into them, right? For Netflix and other things, news or whatever that you'd rather do. I'm with Jeff in that I love the innovation, but this actually isn't all that new to me, actually, now that I think about it, because I was a very, very chubby, thick kid growing up, and I remember a Stairmaster that I used where it would control a scuba diver, and you would go through rings and different things in the ocean, and that I didn't lose weight from that one, so I don't know. I don't know who's attracted to these games. If it wasn't me, it's nobody.
Let's go to one last sort of crossover here of games and other things. And this is Tesla appearing in popular battle royale video game and Model Y making its gaming debut. And this is in PUBG Mobile, believe it or not, where part of Erangel is like a Tesla a factory, I guess. And they have the Tesla Cybertruck and, the whole bit. So Tesla's making an appearance in PUBG Mobile. Who thinks this is Tesla sort of failing from an activation standpoint? Like, where's the Fortnite integration? Where's like me being able to drive the Cybertruck in Fortnite? Why PUBG Mobile?
I mean, just when I thought I couldn't be any more bullish on something, I am the most bullish on this. No, I'll try to answer your specific question. I mean, there's different audiences. PUBG Mobile has a massive audience. It is possible that it skews older, more international. Maybe Tesla's looking to activate, the average Fortnite person isn't buying a Tesla anytime in the next 10 years. So
is the average PUBG Mobile user? I mean, it's a great point,
I would guess that it's older. I don't know. That was just my complete
it's a grittier aesthetic. It's got to be an older user. I don't think there are many Fortnite players who are going to buy a car anytime soon. There are probably not that many PUBG Mobile players who are going to buy a car soon, but I would wager it's more than the Fortnite players, right? The other thing about this is, we don't know how this was positioned, right? Like, I almost look at this the other way and say, is PUBG Mobile looking at what Fortnite's doing and saying, oh, we got to get some activations in this game so we can show that we're a content house too? I'm not so sure. Like, maybe Tesla got a better deal here. Like, as far as I know, this is sort of the first biggest content integration in PUBG Mobile to date. There must have been some other stuff before this, but this feels like a pretty big, heavy hitting one,
Look, my simple view is I have serious doubts. Like, PUBG Mobile is very big in India among mobile gamers. You're not talking about a lot of disposable income. I think that's common to mobile gaming in general. Like, I think, and maybe I'm stretching this too far, but I don't think many primary mobile gamers, right, who aren't also playing on PC and console and things like that, are buying Teslas. And so I don't fully understand here the integration. If anything, I would have thought Fortnite's a better fit because you assume maybe the kids influence the parents' sort of car purchasing decision, right? Like, Dad, we need to get a Cybertruck because it's in the game,
It's a stretch.
I mean, it's all a stretch. It's like, why would you sponsor any mobile game or any
I just want to be
game?
the parent who's like, definitely, you can drive that car in a video game. I'm going right now to the dealer.
Well, that's it's going to be
Ferrari.
Paul's kids who are sitting inside the Cybertruck playing games instead of having Paul watch him. Wasn't that the thing you said? You're like, oh, it'll be great. And just go play games in the garage in your car.
It's like a lounge. Ferrari does have that Fortnite activation that's just coming out too. So I mean, maybe that's why Fortnite wasn't in on this one. They said, no, we're going Italian.
But I feel like Ferrari is different because it's a little bit of it's a halo brand, right? And you can buy things that aren't just Ferrari cars that are still affordable, right? Like, there are Ferrari watches and sunglasses, and like there's a lot of like Ferrari branding on things that are more affordable, I think.
I thought you
Is-
had to
is
own
it
a Ferrari to buy
possible-
that stuff. Are you kidding me?
Wait, you're telling me that guy I saw on the
I could
street
buy
just left
that?
doesn't own a Ferrari? No, but well, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not advertising their cars. Tesla's a massively popular retail stock. Maybe this is a play to get investors.
To get PUBG mobile players to invest in Tesla?
I don't know.
Maybe.
It's not that insane, right? Like you're getting your brand in front of billions of people.
Maybe. I mean, it's not the craziest thing I've heard. I did think it was an interesting activation, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, what struck me, and was specifically cited in this article, is you can't drive the Cybertruck. It's just kind of like a prop.
That's
So
bogus. That's
You can
brutal.
visit the factory, and you can look at the vehicle, but it's not available for gamer control.
That hurts. That hurts. That's like
weird,
that's a
right?
big miss. Yeah, because that's almost immersion breaking. Like the one thing I expect to be able to do when I see a car in a video game is drive it. You know, like
Well, in fact, here, if you shoot it, supposedly you get a supply crate. Like if you shoot it and blow it up, you get a supply crate, which I also don't know why they'd
it's
want
weird
to encourage
advertising.
that.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like destroy our cars. You know, there's probably users want to interact with it, and that's like the only way it can be a meaningful place to go to, and then a meaningful interaction mechanism in the game. You know,
No one thinks that's too soon after the whole like throwing the baseball thing.
I was just thinking about that. Breaking his own window. Oh, I'll just do it on another window, breaking the second window.
All right.
That was the best.
Let's talk about the other big story this week, guys. Really big story. And this one I think we're going to disagree on here. Valve launching Steam Deck, a $400 PC gaming portable. So basically this week Valve announced the launch of Steam Deck, $399 gaming console. It's going to be portable, obviously run quad-core CPU, AMD graphics, up to 512 gigs of storage, much more like a portable PC than anything else that we've seen so far. Obviously going after sort of, I would think, and maybe you guys disagree, after more of the Nintendo Switch kind of market. What do you guys think of this launch? And do you think this is going to be successful? We've had some discussion around portable gaming. Where do you guys think this fits?
well, oh yeah, no, go someone else.
No, you
someone
go,
else
William. You go. I want to. You go first.
Yeah.
We'll probably disagree.
Okay, whoa, that's
We've been
pressure.
disagreeing a lot tonight. We'll probably disagree.
You know, I it's tricky for me because you know, the concern that I have here is this isn't like a unique platform, right? It's not like the Switch where it's the only place you can play Mario Odyssey. This is just like we're gonna take Steam games that can run on a lower end PC. We're gonna build a lower end PC into a portable device because things are small enough now, the horsepower is there, we can do it, and we're gonna get it. And you know, that has a problem because my concern is a lot of these games you don't need this to play, and it's a pretty hardcore gaming market already that's on Steam. Like they probably already have played these games on the base platform. And, you know, I think it's telling that the really successful ones like Hades, you know, in there already have a great Switch port, right? So part of me says like, you know, I don't love this. The other part of me thinks great price point, $400, like, you know, really nice job hitting that level of affordability, right? That puts it right on par with other consoles, if not cheaper, and right on par with the Switch, basically. So they great job hitting the price point. And look, like there is a case to be made for playing all of these games portably. Like the Switch has changed my life with how convenient it is to walk around. And if I could play other AAA games on my, you know, like if I could play other AAA games while I'm lying in bed, I might very well want to do that. I think what you're going to see here, you know, in my own opinion, is a modest success. I think you're going to see this is not the next console generation, right? I think what you're going to see is that many users who are hardcore Steam users adopt this as another way to access their Steam libraries, right? I think you will. I don't think you're going to see people though who like weren't gamers before picking this up, like a Switch, for example. And I don't think you're going to see people. This isn't going to drive like a mass adoption of the market to a mobile play. I think this is really for a harder core user to get another way to access their titles. But I'd be curious to see what you guys think.
Jeff, did you want to take that next? Because
Jimbo,
you said
you
you were
go
going to
first.
disagree, or me? I
You
have
go first. You go first.
I have a quick anecdote in between your and William's battle here. You know, I saw this and I said, this probably isn't for me as a gamer because I like the mouse and keyboard feel. I said on the show in the past, I actually stopped playing my Switch just because, but that's more a result of me preferring the mouse and keyboard to a controller. A lot of my friends actually plug their controllers, their Microsoft Elite, you know, whatever with the paddles into their PCs when we play. And I just did a quick search and saw on PC Gamer that 48 million players actually use controllers on Steam, and that's of March 2021, so fairly recent. So here I thought, well, wow, actually that's maybe 48 million potential users that play on Steam, that have, you know, that Steam library, that use their controller, and now actually have a mobile option, to William's point, that now they can take that library on the go to grandma's house or wherever. So, you know, again, I first saw this and I didn't really care for it just because I'm not the targeted user. But as I did a little research, I thought, actually, I think it might be more than a modest success. I think that they have something here. And
The thing that would
we'll
knock
see.
it over the top is some exclusive content. You know what I mean? Like, again, like if this
Yeah.
had exclusive content, I'd be very, very interested. Because if I had the benefit of my whole Steam library coming over, and this was the only place I could get, say, Half-Life, I don't know, it was a Half-Life character, Half-Life Head Crab, you know, or something like, you know, now I'm interested, right? Because I think, again, content drives the adoption, not just form factor, but it's a very compelling form factor. And again, I'd also just say, like, look, guys, don't be, you know, PC elitist with the mouse and keyboard. I believe that just certain games are better played in some form factors. I'm a huge mouse and keyboard guy. I have a controller right next to my PC. I will play many games with a controller if I feel like they were designed with a controller in mind, or if a controller feels like a more natural way of interacting with the world. And there are plenty of
Yeah.
games that make that list for me.
I do miss like Red Dead 2, where I sat on my couch for like literally 3 weeks straight with a controller, just back speaking in a southern accent and just kind of screwing around. So no, that's a great point.
Maybe it's time for us to play through Red Dead again. Like that was a great game.
It's funny. I had XQC stream up today, and someone in his chat asked him, "Are you going to be buying the new Steam Deck?" And I thought his comment was really interesting. It was really telling. He basically said that in his mind, the Switch is the only console that exists in the marketplace today. That Xbox and PlayStation, basically, you can play all the same games on the PC, and the PC plays them better. And so they're not genuinely differentiated in any way, and therefore they're not really consoles. And his view was the Switch is the only console, and where he put Steam Deck was sort of as a bridge between, Switch players and PC players, and PC players who want that mobile experience but don't want a Switch. And I think it will find that audience. And I think it will also find the audience that we've discussed previously of like hardcore mobile gamers who only want to play games on the go, don't want to sit at a desk, don't want to invest in a PC, but want a platform that allows them to play all the best games at the highest level, right? With the best inputs and the best hardware, etc. And so I'm cautiously bullish on this, even though Valve maybe has the worst record of any gaming company when it comes to hardware, because I don't think they've ever made a piece of hardware that has been a true success. Correct me if I'm wrong. And many of them have been complete failures, and 2 years later you're buying them for like 10% of their original price. But we'll see. Jason says, is it possible that Steam... Hey, Jason. Is it possible that Steam is launching a hardware product because they believe Apple and Google will continue to monopolize mobile game stores and block them out of the market? Interesting question. What do you guys think?
It's a really, really interesting thesis. And it's sort of, they're recognizing that like they need to have their own platform to enter markets that aren't PC. It feels a stretch though. Like I honestly think what this is they realize that there are tons of great games on Steam that have relatively low system requirements, and you could build a device to run them relatively cheaply. And this is all and that's partly why they're not driving exclusives or anything. They want to do a hardware vertical driving the software vertical. That's all this is. For them, the heartbeat is still the Steam store. And this is a product that can get incremental Steam sales and incremental Steam engagement out of its users.
You think they're selling this at a loss, guys? You think that at that $3.99 price point that they're losing money on the hardware?
I mean, I would think so. It just seems to be the console model.
Really?
Complete
Yeah,
guess. It's just a total guess, but almost all these consoles sell at a loss. So why, you're assuming if Microsoft and Sony are selling their consoles at a loss with the amount of scale that they have and the amount that they're making, it seems difficult that, I mean, how many of these are they going to sell? That's the question I was going to pose. Like, what would be a good over under for this if we were going to, bet on it?
I can tell you that if you go online now to pre-order a Steam Deck, you literally can't get one till Q2 or Q3 of next year.
Wow.
Right? So like the volume.
Yeah, but Paul, I can also tell you how marketing works, right?
True.
Where, like, you create
True.
artificial scarcity for your product.
There was 3
so
available.
Yeah, that's a good strategy to some extent, but it's like that at some point it's like, well, you only sold like 50 of them. Like, that's not
and
not
also
great.
selling out tells you nothing. Like who knows what quantity these were produced in, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I mean, the
They-
only
they
other
also-
thing I'll
William.
add is that I'm skeptical that they're selling it at a loss, because my sense is this thing is going to be essentially jailbroken, right? It's going to be hacked literally the day it comes out, right? If not before it comes out. And people are going to figure out how to run whatever software they want on this, right? I don't know if this locks people into Steam in the way they want. People might figure out how to sideload games and, do other kinds of funky things with it. And in that case, if they're taking a loss but not getting the Steam revenue, this is a bad business model. So I wouldn't. I'm doubtful that they're taking a loss on the hardware here.
I want to talk about. Sorry, can I totally hijack the conversation here? I want to talk about, because we've had our assessment. We sort of all think this is pretty good, right? We're like, no one's really like, oh my gosh, this is the launch of the PlayStation. This is a world-changing moment. No one's also like, this is a disaster. Everyone's sort of somewhere between moderate to medium success, right? Like, everyone's sort of like, it's going to work. How well it works. It's not changing the world, but okay, I think we have an agreement there. My question is, there's another company who has sunk tons of money into a games platform that is dealing with its own platform wars much more directly than Steam is. Does this mean we're going to see a $3.99 Epic, handheld coming out? Quite seriously.
Is he talking about Nintendo?
No, Epic. I did say they
Epic.
were going to do a phone, remember?
Yeah. Going back to what you said. You said earlier, you said they're going to do a phone, and this feels like, a little bit closer to what they actually could launch with. Plus, I don't know what the time it takes to develop or produce this stuff is, but fundamentally, I imagine you're taking largely off the shelf for other components and just recombining them, right? But, also look at then how the Epic Store is going to struggle versus the Steam Store. Because if this is even a moderate success, right, this is another lock-in effect for Steam users. If I'm choosing between getting the game for free on Epic or for $4.99 or whatever it is on Steam, I don't know, I'm making it up, right? And I'm like, well, if I can't play the Epic one on my handheld, I just spent $400 for, this is a pretty, and yeah, I get that it could be jailbroken and people can sideload and whatever, but a lot of consumers just don't do that or don't want the hassle, right? So again, I actually think the real angle on this story is not how successful this is going to be. It's going to be fairly successful, right? The real angle on the story is, does this induce Epic to do something? And are we seeing kind of a weird hybrid platform war, like this platform war for non-exclusive consoles, right? Which is just like, oh, we sunk tons of money into an online store. We have to keep up with the arms race. It's kind of interesting.
I think
mean,
it's a good question.
yeah.
I mean, I think the answer is hopefully no. I don't think we will see an Epic phone. I think that would be a massive mistake on Epic's part. I just don't think. I mean, Amazon tried a phone,
Well, not a
failed.
phone. I
Facebook
think
tried a
what
phone,
William's saying
failed.
is more like a gaming
Like a
device like
hand
this.
a handheld console.
Yeah, yeah.
That's more possible. If we're talking phone, I don't think so.
Yeah, I
Handheld
mean,
console,
anyone-
maybe.
anyone-
It just seems like
Anyone with an
why
app
would you
store
want to
could
make
do it, right? To if you take Williams' sort of thinking to its extreme,
But it's
Apple could launch its own gaming hardware, right? Google could launch their own gaming hardware. Anyone with a
but the problem is
store-
every hardware business wants to be a software business. Every software business wants to be a platform. Like you're going the wrong direction. And I get maybe the answer is you have to because the ante's been up. But like you're creating a shittier company, a shittier business model by doing this.
There are literally worlds where this might be a have to. Like, let's assume this is a big success, right? So what's a big success? 25% of Steam users adopt it or something, right? How does Epic not have to copy that at this point? If 25% of your largest competitors' users are saying we also want to play our games on a condensed mobile platform, on a PC Lite mobile platform, I don't think this is going to sell to 25% of Steam users, but I think it's going to sell to a fair number of Steam users, right? All it's going to take, for me to buy something like this is I'm into a game on Steam. I see that cloud saving is enabled and I have a trip coming up and I'm like, oh, I would really like to play this on the plane flight and not have to lug out my awkward laptop and crack it. You know what I mean? I think portability creates its own demand here in a way that, if I were Epic, I'd be watching this very closely.
Well, let me just add a bit of a wrinkle to this. And that is from our friends at YouGov. And for those of you who don't know, the Business of Esports supported by YouGov. They're a leading international research firm. They supply the best data on gamers, games, and esports fans around the world, guys. And so if you're looking for data on the gaming industry, definitely go check out yougov.com/gaming-esports. They've got a bunch of free esports and gaming reports that you can check out. Now, in advance of this live stream, I knew we were going to talk about this. And so we asked YouGov to pull some data around the Steam Deck. And what was interesting was a couple of statistics here, a couple of pieces of data here that I will talk about. So the first is literally just days after it was announced and when they ran their sort of polls, 44% of PC/console gamers say that they had heard something about the Steam Deck. So good awareness, just a couple of days after, that almost half of PC and console gamers had at least heard about the product.
That's really good. That's really good.
What was interesting is then when they were asked about their interest in buying a device like this, in other words, a handheld device capable of running PC games in a portable, manner, 70% of gamers in the US said they would be interested, which I think is very high.
Yeah.
Really
Lots
high.
of demand from PC gamers in a portable way of playing their PC games.
Should send this data to Epic. They better get on this quick.
See, I'm gonna convince you guys. There's an argument here.
No, it's really high in a great way. And again, when I said I wasn't a user here, but now I'm like, what about just buying it, testing it out? If it's great, you keep it. If it's not, you flip it, right? There's a market for that as well. So I'm just trying to correlate this 70% of gamers that want to buy it, maybe to test it out, whether or not they keep it.
And I think the $399 price point helps, right?
Such a great price point that they hit that. It's I just can't tell you. I think we feel very differently about this at $499. I know that's weird to say, but psychologically, it's $500 it's a bridge too far for this. Right?
But William, would you get the $399 or would you get the $649 with the anti-glare glass and your extra?
You're gonna want to play it in the
hearing
sun,
aids?
so you better get the. 640.
Well, I mean, I'll let them try to let them upsell me if they, if they make a good case. But the point is that entry model, right? That first thing. It's because it's always getting in the consideration set of consumers, right? That first price point. Oh, and again, $400 is a lot of money, right? Let's be honest. There's a lot of stuff you can buy. What is a next gen console? $500. So this is not the world's cheapest pricing ever, but I think the pricing works for a significant portion of the Steam user base, for a heavy entrenched user, right? I think the pricing works.
The
Yeah.
only
Sorry, Lindsay, go ahead.
The only reason why the price point doesn't excite me is for audiences outside of North America. I think it'll do very well in North America, but I was initially really excited about these devices in other countries where mobile gaming is really big. That was the number one user base that I really saw, was people looking to have an upgraded mobile experience, but either don't have the space, don't have the time for a full PC or even a full console. And I don't know that this price point is great for that market, especially when the Switch is still cheaper. The processing power on the Steam Deck is much better. So that's definitely a consideration for serious gamers. But I was going to ask you all what you thought about the price point. It seems like
the
it's
argument
good.
is not that the Switch is better. The Switch is for a totally different user. Like I said, this is for, I have a Steam library with a lot of games that I play regularly. I'd like to play it on the go. And the Steam market might be large enough to sustain that. Sorry.
I bet that the upgraded Switch, though, when it does land, not the one they announced, not the Switch OLED, but like one with better internals and the whole bit, guaranteed it's not going to be $299. I guarantee you they're going to go up to $349, something like that. And then you're sort of in the same ballpark at that point, right? You're not. I think they will be directly compared. It's not necessarily pure, it's not 100% overlap in terms of the buyer, but I definitely think there will be competition there.
That's a good point. And then you look at the games, you're going to say, well, Switch has Mario, but Steam has Steam. Steam has everything pretty much. And again, I don't know what makes the specs of a $400 console, but there's a lot of great games that run on surprisingly limited, memory, right? And if you're in the console market, the Switch, you're not competing against a max res proposition. You're already competing against something where I think the expectation is going to be some downscaled graphics, and it's a smaller screen, so the downscaling probably won't bother you as much.
Well, I had read in one of the articles that Gabe Newell in an interview said that the getting to that $399 price point was painful, was the most painful part of the process. And I believe that, because I do think the price point's really aggressive for the hardware you're getting. Really aggressive.
Painful, like they're losing $100 a console.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be that would be quite painful.
I mean, it could have just been decisions they had to make, put
kidding.
something right. Anyways, let's move on, guys. Let's talk about, let's do a couple quick stories. This one's just stupid, but I have to fit it in here. I have to, just for, it's like now the arms race of gaming chairs. So we had the BMW one at $2,000. Then we had AI. Then we had the Cooler Master one at $2,500. This one's not as expensive, but it's Swarovski crystal infused.
That's what I want to sit on.
$600. This is it's only $600. It feels like they're.
This is finally one for me.
Wow. All this is missing is a fridge attached, and it would be perfect.
I didn't fully understand, because I felt like sitting on Swarovski crystals probably isn't comfortable, but I don't know. I've never sat on Swarovski.
It's like those cab
crystals.
drivers that sit on beads. Have you ever gotten in a cab? It's got to be like that.
That's it. It's like a massaging effect. Anyways, just a silly story, but I wanted to bring it up because we are seeing sort of this arms race in gaming chairs. Okay, we have time for one more story. Who wants to do? We can do Pipeline raising $2 million, overactive media trading on TSX, IKEA's various gaming crossovers, Esports Observer now being fully integrated.
Do the IKEA stuff. It fits with the chair story, stuff? And I think IKEA is a big IKEA is a brand that needs to do something to activate in the gaming demo. So
this is a list of all of IKEA's gaming crossovers, which I thought was interesting. They sort of summarized each one, and it starts with Mario Party in IKEA China, and so this was a partnership with Tencent and Nintendo, where they installed Mario Party showrooms in all of the Chinese IKEA stores. So, as you wind your way through, they would have these living rooms where you could play Mario Party. I can go through all these guys and then we can talk about all of them. I don't know if you want to stop and have thoughts.
Let's do a lightning round where we say yay or nay or something. Let's do something.
Ooh,
fun.
that's fun.
Like each
Okay,
of us
let's go
votes.
through it. Who likes this? Mario Party in IKEA China.
Yes. Yay.
Cool.
So this is like people hang out in the store and play Mario Party.
Yeah.
Nay.
Yay.
That's a LAN center. Nay.
Jeff hates fun.
No,
I'm just doing lightning round. No
'cause
thoughts.
remember, there's a whole
IKEA, you got juice.
First thing that pops into your head, IKEA juiced.
No, because
They're not
there's
a
a
sponsor
whole
of the podcast,
there's a
right?
whole thing about IKEA. Like, why does IKEA have a restaurant there? Right? Like, you wouldn't think a furniture store needs a restaurant. There's a whole thing about needing to keep people in the store. I think this is
Yeah.
better than you think.
Yeah.
All right,
Yay.
next
Yay.
lightning round.
Next one, go.
No thoughts.
IKEA VR. So this was where this is talking about in 2016 they released a 5-minute VR game and it allowed you to maneuver around an IKEA kitchen, open drawers, place pans.
Time out. Question: am I in the IKEA, being in VR, not in IKEA, or am I not in IKEA, pretending I'm in IKEA? If it's the first one, great. I don't have to be in IKEA. Second one, out. Juiced.
Maybe it should just be Jeff's lightning round.
Yeah, the juice round.
You are at home walking through an imaginary IKEA kitchen.
Could
In
be
VR.
good because it's quicker. I don't have to drive. Get to satisfy my wife that I went to IKEA, but don't have to go to IKEA. Juiced.
Anyone not like this?
A medium.
And we're keeping score here, right? So I think it was one win for IKEA from a gaming perspective. Do we call this one a win or a loss here?
A medium, but I think this really satisfies the HGTV stay-at-home crowd. So
Yeah,
probably a win for
it's
that.
better than not having it, right? Like,
Right.
There's no downside here.
Turn it into a
Uh,
mobile game. Monetize it with microtransactions. Juiced.
Oh my God. You can't yell juiced after everything you say. You got to pick which ones are
All right,
special.
fine. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah,
They
it's not
just-
a catchphrase if it's just like all you say.
What's interesting is they followed it up in 2017 supposedly with IKEA VR Pancake Kitchen, where you could actually cook in the kitchen.
Okay, that's a no.
Okay, the Instagram IKEA card game. So this was for Women's Day 2021. They launched a digital card game aimed at raising domestic work inequality awareness. It included questions about household chores and how many hours a week people spend doing those chores.
Women's Day, talking about doing chores, super cringy, juiced.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not even a yay or a nay.
Lindsay,
No,
how
that's
do
a
you feel
nay.
about this one?
That's a nay.
I don't know. I thought it was going to be a lot cooler when you started, and then it just wasn't.
It's not that cool. Hey?
Not a fan of this at all.
No. So we got one win, 2 wins, 1 loss here. Let's call it like that. Home improvisation, IKEA's instruction manuals deconstructed. This was another VR IKEA experience, but this one was done by a third-party developer. Basically, it was not officially sanctioned by IKEA. But basically, you could put together all of IKEA's furniture without instructions. So you could mess it up as much as you wanted, or follow it as closely as you wanted. Basically,
This is super useful. Everyone knows the hardest part about IKEA is putting it all together. This saves you all that time. I mean, we need a killer app for VR. This could be it. Love
This
it.
could be it.
Juiced.
This is that's a double yay. That gets 2 thumbs up. That's
It
great.
sounds like fun, actually, kind of, right? Because you could build IKEA furniture without any of the frustration of building
Perfect.
IKEA furniture. This one was called Secure, Contain, Protect. It's like a horror game, basically, but that took place in the winding corridors of an IKEA. So you have to survive the attacks of mutated staff, munch on meatballs, and build furniture forts.
This is great.
This is
Like, I
double
did not
yay
know this
again.
game existed.
I have nothing
This is
negative to say. about this.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
I want to get the IKEA sponsor, play that on stream.
Right.
be great.
That's so great.
And
That
then
looks fun.
I think finally IKEA's gaming furniture crossovers. We talked about this on a previous live stream or podcast. their whole Asus collaboration where they brought, they did desks and like lamps and things like that, and mouse pads and low cost sort of gaming accessories, peripherals, and furniture. And now supposedly, I hadn't seen this, but IKEA now has real reproductions of in-game items from Animal Crossing. It's the first. That's the only one that I had never heard of and I had not seen.
Do you know how fast my entire house would be like decked out in matching Animal Crossing decor per room? Oh my God.
But that
brilliant.
feels like a win to me, right?
Well,
Like,
I think the
brilliant.
bigger thing here, guys, if we can synthesize this into a larger story, the bigger thing here is not that they're not doing things, it's that we don't know about it. Like, I'm hearing about all these things for the first time, which highlights to me IKEA's struggle to kind of like basically engage audiences outside of its store. Like, the problem with IKEA is when you go to an IKEA, you have a great experience. Like, it's really true. Like, I'm sorry, I'd still go like anyone who's ever furnished a college dorm room, like the IKEA trip is like, yeah, and it works. You have a good time. You get good quality furniture. Yeah, you have to assemble it yourself, but it's way cheaper. You eat meatballs in the store. You have fun joking around with your friends. It's well laid out. You see nice examples of how you can decorate. Like, IKEA has an amazing in-store experience, but nobody ever thinks about IKEA outside of the store, right? Like, literally. And I think this is a real challenge that the brand has had, whether it's, digital online shopping, right? And the struggles that they've had there, or this, where they're doing gaming activations that kind of seem interesting to me. And none of us in the gaming space know about it, right?
yeah, and I feel like maybe more so than a lot of brands, they've experimented with a lot, right? For a furniture company, this is a lot. This is not just them throwing a logo on like a League of Legends tournament, right? Or something.
Yeah. There's like genuine risk taking here, like a horror game set in the store, like that. Somebody has said, like, you ever wonder what it's like to be locked in an IKEA store? Let's make it get like, that's interesting. Like that I appreciate it. That's a brand that seems to be having fun with itself, But again, like, you're not, and this is what I go to the problem with IKEA is they don't know how to deliver experiences outside of the store. They just don't know how to make you aware of them. They don't know how to give them to you. And, I think you're seeing the problem here, which is they clearly are interested in gaming and would like you to know about the stuff they're doing in gaming. But the best one in all of these, I think, is the Mario Party one, because you're going to go to the store and it's going to be part of their in-store experience. There's probably already rooms already set up with a, console display there. Why not let people play on it,
Maybe that one, William, or the Animal Crossing one. And maybe the struggle is to roll things out globally, like where they may do things locally in China or locally in, this country or that country, but it doesn't come, you don't get it everywhere. And therefore the experience is inconsistent. Like, I think this is genius. When I read this, I thought, wow, I'm surprised no one's doing this, because to Jimmy, like, it's to Jimmy's reaction here of like, if you could get furniture you love from a game like Animal Crossing, but reproduced in real life and you can buy it and put it in your living room, I feel like there's a lot of gamers who would be all over that.
That's the dream. That's the dream. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I want to wear my Mixer t-shirt and have my Barocco little Animal Crossing stool and my IKEA gaming chair.
Hey, we're going to make the living room feel like Dust 2. I don't know. It's one of those things that I think someone's going to do that. If not IKEA, I just think it's a brilliant idea. All right, guys. Did anyone play anything this week?
I played some stuff. I got a PS5, so I've been playing a couple PS5 games.
Oh yeah? And anything good?
I finally thought that there was enough depth and exclusive content that it was worth going. So there's the Ratchet and Clank game.
Oh yeah.
And then there is Demon Souls, obviously. There's a couple other exclusive things I got too, but I played both of them. Ratchet and Clank was the one that really made me buy it, because I saw a lot of reviews saying this is the first truly next-gen game in terms of graphics. And you wouldn't think that, right? Like, and I'm not a big graphics person, but like, I feel like I have to keep track of what's going on in the industry. you would not think that an animated game like this in a cartoon style can be an example of next gen graphics and gameplay. Like, you just wouldn't. But it is pretty incredible. It's like playing a Pixar movie. I mean, it is absolutely unbelievable, like the graphics that come out of that game. So that alone was sort of worth it for me to have. Like, it's been a while since, for me, the console gap generations, yeah, it got better, but the PC was already there. I don't know, something about this game and the way it presents and animates, and the way the rift mechanics in the game really accentuate the world changes. It's pretty compelling. I've really enjoyed that. And obviously,
You feel like it's really next gen.
You know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, it sure feels next gen. Like it sure feels, it's weird. Like, I mean, I'm going to challenge you, Paul, since you're into graphics, get a PlayStation 5, put it in, play the opening level, and tell me what you think. But it's weird for me to say that a Ratchet and Clank animated game, because normally it's the gritty, realistic water effects, and like this honestly feels next gen to me, and it's weird to say, but try it, and I think you'll be impressed in a way that I don't think you can tell unless you're actually playing it and you realize how you'll be in a cutscene and the game will leave the cutscene, and like you'll be like, wow, I didn't even realize the cutscene had ended. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, William,
pretty incredible.
I've got a PS5. It does mostly collecting dust. It does collect mostly dust.
Yep.
But I think my initial impressions, and I haven't played Ratchet and Clank, was this doesn't feel next gen, right? Like that, and I sort of had that feeling you had of like, these are just really incremental. Like,
did you play it? I disagree. Did you really?
I didn't play Ratchet and Clank specifically.
Yeah, you got to play Ratchet and Clank. Everything else, right? Like, people are saying Demon Souls, amazing graphics. Yeah, the graphics are better. They're very pretty. It's actually a gorgeous remake. But I don't feel, and it's clearly better than PlayStation 4. I don't feel it's next gen. This was the one where I was like, wow, this feels like it's, play it. I'm telling you, it's weird. It's weird to recommend a game like animated graphics as an example of next gen, but I think this is the first one we've had that really feels that way.
Cool. And PSA to everyone, don't go play New World if you have an RTX 3090. I hear it's bricking GPUs, which is the only reason I haven't played New World yet, but this sounds like it may be a successful game for Amazon. It sounds like it, at least initial reviews. So fingers crossed that New World's good. Anyone else before I wrap things up here?
No, I've just been watching Lando Norris Twitch streams when they come on.
He's streaming less. He's streaming less.
Yeah, they're busy.
They're busy. He's got a day job, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I actually like, I think it's his Twitter account or something where he writes, Twitch streamer who occasionally like drives cars or something like that. Anyways, that, guys, wraps up this week's after show live stream. Stay tuned for the podcast tomorrow. It's going to drop tomorrow. Great episode with Jimmy Mondal. And thank you guys for everyone who was here, even if you were lurking, even if you didn't participate. We really appreciate you guys, everyone who commented, as always. Bring your friends, colleagues, tell them about the live stream. We do it every Wednesday evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And go follow us everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, Facebook. It's all Business of Esports or Biz Esports. And finally, one last thing. If you want to look as good as Lindsay, make sure to go pick up a shirt on businessofesports.shop. It's one way of supporting the live stream and supporting Business of Esports, and we really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you guys, Jeff, Lindsay, William, Jimmy. As always, guys, we will see you next week.